Okay, that was the knife. Now, we need to be able to learn how to sharpen gouges. This is the 11 gouge and the 10 millimeter. This is one of the tools that we talked about in the tool selection. And this gouge and I have been together quite some time. It's a little shorter. It generally comes about that long. So I've had this one probably about 15 years, but it's still a good gouge. So what I want to do is to see what condition the tool is in before I start sharpening. So I want to take a cut with the chisel, see what the track mark in the wood, the surface that the tool leaves after it cut looks like, see where I have to sharpen it. And you're going to see that it's pulling really bad in the center. So what I want to do is take this to the coarse stone. I'll put some oil on it. I'm going to hold the chisel, again, close to the cutting edge of the tool, so that I can keep a really nice consistency to the angle and a nice firm grip on the tool. Now with the knives we had two flat bevels and we kept it relatively flat to the stone. The chisels tend to have to come up higher and we have one bevel. We're not going to sharpen the inside. I like to keep a nice flat surface on the top of my chisel and just retain one bevel. So I'm going to go with the left side of the chisel because I'm right-handed and I tend to start on my left side, and I'm going to go in the direction of the cutting edge. And I'm going to start on one side of the chisel, and as I go down the stone, you have to roll the chisel so that you get the sweep of the chisel. And then I'm going to wipe it off and look at the reflection of the light to see where the scratch marks are being made. And you'll see right up in here it's still a little polished. And that means I haven't come up high enough on the angle that I was holding the tool at to sharpen the very cutting edge of the tool. Now the length of the bevel that I generally put on my hand tools is around 1/4 of an inch. The narrower this wedge, the easier it slides through the wood. This is not a dainty operation. You want to put some weight on top of the tool so that it's going to be cut fairly efficiently with the stone. And if I find that I need to work more on the left side than the right side, you can work that side of the tool. You don't have to go from corner to corner. You don't have to go the full twist of the chisel if you need to work a certain area. So don't think that just because you did this left side 3 times that you have to do the right side 3 times. And this is the same process that we used with the knife. I'm working with the coarse stone, and again I'm going to have to go in sequence from the coarse to the medium Arkansas to the hard white Arkansas down into the black hard Arkansas, and then to a leather strop. It takes some time, and you can't just say, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to go 20 times on this stone and 20 times on that stone. You have to look and wait for the burr to come up, just like I did with the knife blade. The burr is the piece of steel that's actually curling over the top of the chisel. So the burr is going to be on the inside, and it's not going to be down here, so I won't feel it on the bottom. I'll feel it on the top as I drag my finger from the top. All right, so now I'm going to move on to the soft Arkansas. And keeping the same grip that I had on the tool, I'm just going down in sequence from a coarser stone to a finer stone. Yep, it's coming along. All right, now I'm going to switch to the white Arkansas stone. But see how more polished the bevel looks from the finer, harder stone. So I want to switch and get the hard black Arkansas. This is going to start to even put a polish on the edge. So I'm looking at the reflection. I'm looking for any deep scratches that might still exist from some of the other stones, and it looks pretty good. I'm going to take it to the strop, and this is a special strop made for gouges and V-tools. The hollows are for honing the bevel, and then the high ridge is for doing the inside of the gouges. So you have some for larger gouges and smaller gouges. And you do the same thing we did with the pigskin strop. Rub some of your buffing compound, get it down there in the center. I'll use the larger one for the beveled edge. So when you strop your tools, always strop away from the cutting edge. When you're using stones, you go into the cutting edge. Okay, then we'll fit it into the ridge. And this is going to help to remove the burr. Okay, now I've got the inside of the tool, the outside bevel. Now, if you look at the reflection, beautiful polish. Scratches are gone, and we're going to take it for a test ride. This is how the tool was before we started. Remember all the crushed wood fibers, the real dull finish to the wood? Now I can see the tool needs just a little more work. See, this is giving a drag mark on the right side of the tool, and the left side is pretty good. What I'm going to do is take a cut across the grain, and then I'm going to stand the tool straight up. And this is going to show me exactly where I need to work. This is the track mark. I'm tracking that nasty side of the tool right to where I need to work. I'm going to come and hit the black Arkansas a little more. And I'm just going to work that one side. I'm not going to work the good side because it doesn't need it. And then come hit the outside. And now it just looks perfect. The V-tool is a very useful carving tool, but unfortunately they don't really come carver friendly. This is an older V-tool, and it came the same length. You can see this was a favorite tool of mine. I used it for a long time. I kept this one because I want to show you the back of a V-tool. The back of the V-tool has a lot of steel at the bottom to support the cutting edge. But your cutting dimension of the tool is the inside of the V, not the outside. So when you get a V-tool fresh out of the package, there's a lot of steel, and I call it the diamond. This shape, this amount of steel, cannot fit into that little slot. So this is the chip you're making, but this is the steel you're trying to push through that. And if you could see it on this heavier V-tool, it's very apparent. What I do is grind this down, and you could do this on a belt sander, and reduce the width of this bottom heaviness of the V-tool to about half, and this is going to allow the tool to slide through. And this is the biggest V-tool that Swiss tools make, and you can see how much it has been tapered down from the heel to the cutting edge of that V part by grinding the sides. So now when I make a cut, I can take this tool and basically bury it to its wings and make a really nice deep V cut. So now we're going to sharpen the V-tool. Now the V-tool is slightly different than just doing a regular gouge. It's a combination of a knife and a gouge somewhat tied together. You have a very flat wing or a plane, and then a radius that connects it to the right plane. So keep the tool very flat, and about halfway down the stone I'm going to roll it and then hit the other side. I generally start on the left side of the tool. You have to roll the chisel in order to get the radius, or the very bottom V, sharp. If you just concentrate on doing a flat plane and a flat plane, it's going to stick out to a little point, and it's going to be very fragile and prone to breaking off. If you concentrate too much on that radius, then you're also going to get a little hollow in here, and again it's going to be somewhat on the dull side. And I use the same grip as I use with my chisel, so it's a tricky tool at best to sharpen. And like with the gouge, I'm just sharpening the outside. And I stand up when I sharpen my chisels because I could put some of my own weight into it, and I can see better how I'm coming along with it as opposed to sitting down. Now, I went in sequence with the hard Arkansas down to the leather with the buffing compound, and now I'm just on the straight leather, just to put a final polish. And the same thing, I'm dragging it backwards, rolling it on the radius, and then hitting the other far side wing of the V-tool. Now I want to take a test ride with it. Again, going across the grain. And making sure that the cut is a nice, sharp V without any tearing, that the wings are nice and crisp. So you get a nice burnish on it, and the bottom V is not pulling or tugging at any of the wood fibers. nice, clean, crisp cut. So that's how you sharpen knives and chisels with stones. Labor intensive, messy, takes a while to get the skill to do it. I've been carving now for almost 40 years now. I do this for a living. I really can't afford to spend the amount of time it takes to sharpen every single thing I have on these stones. So I have a sharpening machine, and there's several sharpening machines out there. The one I use is very efficient, it's very quick, and cuts down a lot of my sharpening time so I can spend it carving. They're round wheels, and I have them spinning away from myself, so I can rest my tool on the top, and they're abrasive belts. This is like my coarse stone. This is 120 grit sandpaper. This is one of my medium stones, like the hard white Arkansas. This is about 220 grit. The leather strop, which is the replacement of the leather strops. Buffing wheels and honing wheels. It's just a really neat little system. It's all tidy and all into one little unit. And I've been using this machine probably about 18 years now. Big time saver. So the only thing about holding it is this machine is holding the angle. Just like I was talking about choking up on your tool with the stones and keeping your hands very close to the cutting edge and keeping your hands right on the side of the sharpening stones, I'm going to rest my fingers on the inside of the wheels and hold my thumb and fingers just like I was doing on the stones, except I'm not moving forward, the wheel's moving. So I just have to kind of maintain the angle that I'm looking for and roll the contour of the chisel against the abrasive paper, and then I'll go from the rough abrasive when I start to see the burr come up, and then come down to the finer one, and then start refining just like I was doing with the universal strops. And I put buffing compound on the leather strop and also the buffing wheels. It's hard to find one machine that's going to do it all. There's no tool rest on this one, so you have to hold the tool in your hands and try to keep your angle really consistent. There are other tools out there that'll do that for you. Just ask around and find out what other things might be available, and find something that'll work for yourself.